On today's video, we are going over a Fender Reverb Amp that our customer explained to us that was making some noise every time he was using the foot pedal. We tested the amplifier and indeed it made a really bad sound every time you will move a little bit the pedal, so we worked a little bit to identify where the problem was coming from, which turned out was actually a really easy problem because it came straight from the cable. Bending the cable up and down or left or right close to where the jack is connected actually turned out to be the source of issues. So we looked through all the cable trying to identify where exactly the problem came from, and once we did that we just cut it down and decided to just isolate the damaged part and replace it with more of the same cable that actually is still in good state. You can see me now trying to desolder this old connector from Fender, which actually has a really annoying way of working because it actually sticks the ground to the side of the connector itself instead of to a pin, and that actually makes it rather hard to desolder. It's very uncomfortable, and in any case, if it will be my amplifier, I will be probably using another jack. Now you can see me actually cleaning the old solder, which again, in order to put any cable, you should really do, and because the grounds are not connected to a pin, but rather to the jack itself, you really need to clean it very well to make sure that later you will have a good ground and you won't have any old solder that will cause issues down the road. Now I'm just taking what's left of the cable after verifying that the rest of the cable we removed doesn't have any issues, and actually again isolating the ground to later apply a little bit of solder and make my life a little bit easier when connecting the jack again. I will try to only take as little as possible from the tip and only work with that so that as much part of the tip contains the casing, in order to have a really rigid cable that will not have issues down the road. Now I can actually continue, and again, before soldering it into the jack itself, I apply a little bit of solder in the tip and considerably much more on the ground, so that later I can actually make a good connection to the jack once I go to solder it. Now soldering the tip is easy. First you apply a little bit of solder on the tip. Then you go and apply the connector as straight as you can, to then later bending a little bit it with a plier, ideally a small one, so that the cable contains again as much case as possible in order to actually be really strong. You can see that I left about at least a finger width of the actual cable casing, to guarantee that even if somebody grabs the cable really hard or you accidentally step on it during the live playing session, you won't actually disconnect the cable. You will see me now that when I go to screw the connector back, I really hold very hard the connector on the back to guarantee that the cables are held inside without any tension, in order to actually be a strong bond that won't cause any issues down the road when somebody inevitably steps on the cable in the middle of a jam session or a concert, letting the musician stranded. Now that we have a really solid connection, I finish up the screwing this terminal, and this repair job is pretty much done. That was a very easy one that actually didn't took more than 10 minutes to identify. In any case, just for good sake, we took care of actually opening the amplifier and verifying that nothing is wrong with it. After connecting the cable and actually now reassuring again that we don't have any issues, we proceeded to open the amplifier. But first, note how actually the pedal works in the inside, and be aware of that the cable actually goes straight from one of the valves directly to the pedal, so actually it causes a lot of interference noise. Now that we open the amplifier, we can actually go and take a look. In this particular example, this amplifier is actually on extremely good condition. In any case, we do a check to guarantee that no components are actually a little bit like loose, which often happens from the vibration, especially on reverb tanks. And this way, we just again do a visual check, touch a little bit everything. During this check, we actually realized that the little metal piece that allows you to connect or disconnect the reverb tank actually was very loose. So we tried to adjust it a little bit, but we didn't like how it felt. So actually we dismounted it and we realized that it was not straight, which was causing problems and causing a lot of resistance. We put it into the bench and actually use a little bit of brute force to get it back straight. We just wanted to move it a little bit and just make sure that it's straight, which we of course verified using a straight edge. And once that was done, we actually inserted it back, and now the force that you need to do in order to actually engage or disengage the reverb tank is really low. With this done, and once we were happy with the results and we made sure that this piece actually is held together really well, we put the tank back and call it a day. Again, this was a really easy repair job, and thanks to this the customer will be very happy and he will be able to again continue using this reverb tank hopefully for many years to come. It's very interesting to note actually how the reverb tank works and what the little metal lever does. This metal lever shuts the reverb tank against the wood, making sure that it cannot vibrate too much and giving you more of a dry reverb, whereas when you leave it loose, you can actually have like a whole effect reverb. And that's all. Thank you for watching today.